to this Talks event at Google, this Talks virtual event at Google. I'm Kevin Green. I'm on the partnerships team here at Google. Before we get started, I want to remind the audience that we'll be taking questions towards the end of this talk. As you think of questions throughout this conversation, please be sure to add them to the live chat here on the right. I'm very excited to introduce today's guest, Dr. Myron Roll. Now, Dr. Myron L. Roll is a former NFL safety, a Rhodes Scholar, a neurosurgery resident, and global neurosurgery fellow at Harvard, Massachusetts General Hospital. He is the founder and chairperson of the Myron L. Roll Foundation, a nonprofit organization dedicated to the support of global health, wellness, education, and other charitable initiatives benefiting children and families in need. Dr. Roll also serves on the Knight Commission on Athletics and the Clinton Global Initiative. He is the co-creator of the Emerging Scholars Project for underrepresented college students applying for a Rhodes Scholarship. His philanthropic work, academic excellence, and athletic accomplishments have been featured in top global national outlets such as CNN, ABC News, ESPN, and CNBC. Dr. Myron, it is my pleasure to welcome you to Talks at Google.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. How's the day going so far?
It's going pretty well, brother. How about you?
Cannot complain. Cannot complain. I was definitely looking forward all week, man, to have this conversation with you and just kind of get an understanding of everything about you, what you're doing, and just how you're doing your part to make the world a better place, as I'm sure we all are day in, day out.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it a lot. You know, it's been a blessing, this journey. Now having written this book, The 2% Way, it's just a wonderful thing. And being able to share it with my family too is pretty awesome. So we're excited about it.
That's huge. That's huge. And we will definitely get into that as we go through. Now, one of the biggest things I want to ask you, you know, you and I, we share a common history. Both of us had a chance to play professionally play football within the NFL. Now, one of the things that, you know, comes with being a professional athlete is making the decision to transition out. Many athletes at the professional level, they have a hard time figuring out what's next for them. How did you go about knowing what your plan B was when your football career was over?
You know, that's a good question. I think it started from my parents. We're from the Bahamas originally,
Okay.
Nassau, Bahamas, and my parents, when we moved to America permanently when I was around 2 years old, they really stressed the importance of education. They really stressed the importance of developing a firm foundation of knowledge so that we can go on and be successful in any field that we chose, whether it be education or law, or for me, it was medicine. So I always thought that having intellect and being smart, being able to think through problems, being able to creatively and strategically use my mind to advance causes or to bring people together as a leader would be the chapter of my life where I had the most success and I could do the most for individuals. Football was something like you and I, we both enjoyed it.
Yes.
We had fun doing it. It paid for school. It gave us a little bit of money to, you know, keep us afloat once we were done playing. But I knew that NFL stood for not for long, as you and I discussed earlier. And once I finished, I wanted to be able to seamlessly transition into the next phase of my life where I could still have value to the community, I could still make a difference, and I could still be a leader now that I took off my helmet and retired my cleats.
I love that. I love that. And you know, just to speak about things of being a leader and motivating others, you know, being a minority and excelling at the rate that you are, what are ways that you are motivating others that look like you about the importance of achieving academic excellence?
Wow, that's important. I think representation is incredibly important, and being seen and showing that this body is capable of achieving the things that some people say are not that they're not capable of doing. So I enjoy post on social media. I enjoy being out and doing marches or walks or getting active in communities or speaking to mentees or volunteering at different centers so that individuals who are young, who are seen on the margins, can look at someone like myself and others and say it is possible. Because coming to America, my parents did a great job of putting leaders who look like me in front of me: Paul Robeson,
Yeah.
W.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, Kofi Annan, Nelson Mandela, Malcolm X, and Ben Carson. My brother Marchant gave me Ben Carson's book, Gifted Hands, and I
Wow.
read it and I said, This gentleman is a black gentleman. He doesn't come from a lot of money. He's not affluent. His parents really focused on education. He had a bit of a temper growing up, like I had, and so I saw a lot of similarities in his story. And he planted the seed of neurosurgery in my mind, so that one day when I was done playing football, that neurosurgery would be the next move. And so Dr. Carson's story opened up my eyes. It opened up my mind and my thoughts to the possibilities that could exist for me in this country. And now, hopefully, now that I'm 35, a little bit older, hopefully that my story and this book that I wrote, The 2% Way, can open up eyes to the next generation of young people who can see themselves in my story and move forward.
Right. Now, to speak about, your growing up and your family and things, were you the oldest of your siblings?
I was the baby. I was the last of five.
Okay, got it, got it. Now, how did you feel that it was your job to set an example to your siblings? With you being the youngest, did you figure out a way to set the example, or did you feel like it was necessary for you to set an example?
I felt it was necessary to set an example. I really did. I think my brothers are amazing. They're
Right.
heroes to me. They've been my buffers. They beat me up a lot when I was younger.
Wow.
They didn't allow me to eat a lot of food when I was younger. I mean, they did a lot of
Right.
stuff to me, but it was forging through the fire. It was like get out of the frying pan into the fire. They made me tough.
Right.
But I appreciated that love because when I got out into the world, I said, "Oh, this is a breeze. Like I can
Right.
handle everything," because my brothers already made it hard for me growing up. So now it's good. But I definitely felt the love. I felt the support, and even today, any victory that I'm able to achieve or any accomplishment, they feel like they've done it as well. And so we both feed off each other, and it's an amazing thing to have that type of network and support system.
I hear that. I hear that. Now, within your book, you speak about, different adversities that you've gone through. When people in life, when you set a goal for yourself, right, just as such as New Year resolutions, right, which is something I'm constantly asking people, how are your New Year resolutions going through? Because we're almost halfway through the year. What are ways that individuals can stay focused and be able to keep their goals in mind when that adversity hits?
Yeah, KG, this is a perfect lead into the book. I love it, brother. So, the process is a 2% way. I mean, this is something that I've adopted from my football coach at Florida State University.
Mhm.
His name was Mickey Andrews, my D coordinator. He would challenge me and my teammates every day to get it just a little bit better, a small edification, small increases, 2% at a time of
Right.
growth in whatever we did on the field. And I took that mindset and I extrapolated to life. And so that any chance encounter that I had, any book I read, any video I watched, I'm trying to grab 2% from that and apply it to my journey so I can stack up these small wins every single day, which allows me to stay focused, stay disciplined. It gives me the confidence that I'm moving forward and I'm doing something good. And it
Right.
also allows me to silence and quiet down the background noise that could be distracting, that could have my eyes wander from where I need to be. It could have me comparing my journey or my steps to the person on Instagram or Twitter right next to me who's in my generation who looks like they have it all right now. It could lead me away from where I need to be. So that process, the 2% way, which I talk heavily in the book about, is just it's a way to sort of lock in, get laser focused, and stay committed to a consistent step of forward movement every single day towards a better version of yourself.
Wow, I love that. I think, with our generation, we always strive to look at our phones and compare ourselves to other people, right? And we kind of gauge their success with where we should be, right? Which is something I'm completely against, right? Even though, here I work at a tech company. What are ways that you measure your 2%?
Yeah. So the 2% is less about the actual number of two and more so about a an idea of a manageable state of growth, right? Something that just feels attainable, something that seems achievable. Because you
Right,
have people sometimes who will say to you, KG, I need you to be 100% better tomorrow. Well, that's impractical. That means you're doubling your talent in a day. It was just not possible, not feasible. But if you say, hey, I just want you to get a little bit better. I want you to get 2% better. Then you
right.
write that down. You can check that off on a box and you say, I did this today. I was more punctual today. I communicated with my parents today. They're
Yep.
70 years old and they live apart from me. And I just want to make sure that I check in on their health and say I love them because of what they've done for me in my life. I'm a little bit better as a dad today. I'm a little bit better as a leader today. I was able to engage with someone who felt like they were on the outside, and I was able to bring them in to communicate more and speak to them more and have them more involved in our team activity. That's how I measure that 2%. And then I also have accountability buddies too, people who check in and people can hold me accountable to say, are you really doing what you're saying you're doing? You're trying to move forward. You're trying to make growth and progress. Can they look objectively at my growth and my goals and say, I think you're on the right track? So that's really important as well.
That's huge. I think, being able to have a partner or a friend or a sibling, somebody who can call you out when they see you going down a different path that you told them that you have laid out for yourself is definitely huge to have. And I think that right there is something that we all should look for, when we're trying to bring in new friends and things like that.
Absolutely.
Now, here at Google, we're all about diversity and changing the narrative of what's expected, right? As you have, right? What was expected of you, you went far and beyond that. What are, when it comes to diversity within the workplace, what are ways that you are trying to influence others that look like you to go into the field that you're in now?
Well, I try to let them know that it's attainable, it's achievable, it's something that is fun, it's exciting. If you look at the history of neurosurgeons in America and around the world, they're typically older white men.
Yep.
They don't look like us, and they especially don't look like women of color either. There's a low representation of women in general, but especially women of color. And so I try to let them know that it is possible, and I try to give them the steps and the inside tips that some of those individuals through that legacy pipeline have used to get where they are. So do you need to do more research? Do you need to shadow physicians? Do you need to get involved in conferences? Do you need to work on your surgical skills? Do you
Right.
need to do this or that? This is the game plan, the formula that others have been using for years to get through. And we just have been boxed out and not understanding how to use that. But
Right.
now I'm on the inside at an Ivy League, Harvard, doing it here, having success. I've seen how they look at individuals who come through. Maybe we can apply that same methodology to have similar success. And so that is something that I always talk about. I love the representation aspects of it, really speaking at conferences and showing up and showing out and being present at all times. If there's someone who is a minority, or there's someone who is interested in neurosurgery and they reach out to me, I love to have that communication and develop that dialogue because I did the same thing. I reached out to individuals who look like me, who could help bring me along. Mentorship is very, very important, and I believe in that.
I love that. I love that. Now, here's a question that I have for you that is very interesting because I feel like at times, especially with you within what you do for a living, there can draw a little bit of confliction, right? So, as an athlete, for myself, for you, faith drove everything, right? Reading the Bible before a game, praying before we step out onto the field, praying before we step out, for practice. Within your role now, how big of a role did your faith play, both in football and what you're doing now, and at the same time, with the confliction of okay, faith drives everything, but I'm also within health, right? So you may run across people who do not have a strong faith as you, and they look for you as a doctor to make everything better.
Mm.
How do you go about that?
Wow. That's a great question. I think faith informs everything that I do. It's been a part of my journey since the start. It centers me to pray before cases to
Mhm.
myself. I don't try to impose my beliefs on anyone else, but I just do it to myself so that I know that I'm rooted and I can feel my feet on the ground.
Right.
When I look at the brain and I look at the body, I fall more deeply in love with my faith and with Christ than I ever have in the past. I mean, it's amazing what our body can do. And I'll give you an example, KG. So there's this disease we have called moya moya.
Okay.
Sometimes it affects adults, but a lot of times it affects kids anyway. So it's basically this artery that comes up through your neck and into your brain, and this artery is very important. This artery is supposed to um, perfuse and give blood to all of one side of the brain, and then in this disease, it basically just dead ends. It stops, and so people, if you just look at it and know the disease, you would think, wow, you're not getting any blood supply to this part of the brain. You're not supposed to have any function on that side of the brain. Your brain is supposed to be dead because you're getting no oxygen or no blood. However, the body is so beautiful. The body is so amazing. I love the brain so much that it actually creates these like collateral vessels that end up growing. The brain says, we don't have any blood going there, so let's form our own vessels. And it forms these collaterals that aren't as powerful as what a normal brain like your mind might be, but it still is enough to provide blood supply to that tissue so you don't have the strokes, so you don't have the neuro deficits, you don't walk with a limp or these kind of things. And so I find, that to be so miraculous.
Right.
And then I'm like, I can't explain it. No one can explain it. We can try to pontificate about it. And so we have to give it to a higher power. So I see his work all the time through my work, and I've fallen even closer and more deeply into my faith through the work that we do every single day.
Man, that's huge. And I'm sure that your faith was introduced to you from your parents, correct?
Absolutely, 100%. The Bahamas is a theocracy, KG, and
Right.
hopefully you get to come to the crib soon. I know
Yes.
you have some connection down in Nassau,
Yes.
but I would love for you to be there, man. But yeah, it's a very theocratic nation. I mean, you have every. This is gonna sound funny, but you have everyone from the prime minister to the thugs going to church on Sunday. Like things
Wow.
stop, and then on Monday, it all resumes. All
Right.
the bad stuff. but for Sunday, everybody's in church, man. So that's how I grew up, man.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Now, speaking to your parents, one of the things that I read within your book is a quote that your dad told you was, "Be so good that they cannot deny you," and I absolutely love that. Be so good
Yeah,
that they cannot deny you. Can you speak? I kind of want to strive away from football, right? Because that speaks for itself. But the aspect of being so good that they cannot deny you. What is an example to where you kept that mindset within what you're doing now? Because, like we said earlier, you're the only person who looks like you. So how can you be so good that they could not deny you when you were practicing health?
yeah, that's a great question, and Daddy was very adamant about that quote because 71 years old, in banking, in finance, in a field where a lot of people didn't look like him in New York City when we left the Bahamas. And so he understood that you had to be two, three, four, 5 times better than the next individual because there may be some leash for them, but there was no leash for you. And so in medicine now, in neurosurgery, I apply that sort of principle through the 2% weight process and getting incredibly prepared for anything I have to do. You won't catch me off balance or off guard as I have to take care of patients or I have to go into a surgery or something like that. I will
Right.
know the history, the physical exam, the lab work. I will know what a paper in
Wow.
2008 said about this particular case. I will know what the MRI and CT scan from 10 years said, and then what the one we did last night said. I will know what the radiology report said. I'm going to be incredibly prepared and well versed into this case so that if you say, well, Dr. Roll, tell me this, tell me that, tell me this, I can tell you that and go 3 or 4 layers deep because I want to make sure that you know that I'm not playing about this position that I'm in. I
Mhm.
know that 50 years ago, even maybe even 30 years ago, people
Right.
weren't looking like me where I am today. And if I don't do well, if I don't succeed, or my other colleagues who look like me don't succeed, it may be difficult for the next generation to
Yes.
follow suit. They may say, well, we gave it a shot already. We
Right.
gave those that kind of try. And so let's stick with what we know and what works. And
Yeah.
so I take it very seriously. And what my father said has stuck with me and my brothers as well.
I love that because the way from what I just heard, it just reminds me of a quote that I live by, right? I'm always 10 steps ahead of wherever you think I'm at.
Yeah,
And that
I love that.
and that's where that's where you have to be, man, within any profession. Now, I'm sure that there are days to where you feel overwhelmed with the complexities of managing being a doctor, being a parent. Now, from what I understand, you have not one, not two, but four children at home.
That's correct. Yeah, two sets of twins, 4 kids under the age of 2. We have a boy girl, 21
Wow,
months, and a boy girl, 3 weeks old. So we are, yeah, we got a lot.
that is a blessing. You guys are super parents.
Thank you, brother.
Now,
I give it all to my wife, man. She's
yeah.
she's a real hero. I'm just there trying to like, hey, what do you need me to do? Yeah,
Oh,
get
I love
some
it. I love
get
it.
get some breast milk, get some
Right.
towels. What can I do?
Oh, well, shouts out to you, Queen. Thank you for holding everything down. Um, now, managing all that, being a parent, being a doctor, representing the unheard voices, if you will, within African Americans within health. What are ways that you try to find, time to get away, to alleviate some of the stress? What are things that you do outside of your profession just to give you some mental clarity?
Well, I love to travel with my wife. I mean, we both love traveling. Even before she married me, she was all over the map, all over the world. She's been to I think almost 20 or so countries on her own. And then together, we've gone to many different Caribbean islands. We've been over to Africa quite often. So we love to get away. I love to work out. That obviously sort of gets you going and gets your juices flowing. Obviously, it does release neurotransmitters that make you feel better, make you feel more rewarded. It's your limbic lobe,
Right.
that reward pathway that we have, excitatory. So that's exciting. And then I love to get involved and deep into mentoring.
Right.
I have a group of young Black men who are either pre-med or in medical school. It's called the Honor Roll. That's a mentoring group. It's about
Okay.
12 young men, three from the Bahamas and the rest are from the United States. And just spending time with them and hearing their stories and hearing their journeys and hearing the new research that they're getting involved in and something that happened in class for them that was exciting. It fires me up to feel the enthusiasm of young people want to go and achieve great things, no matter what you look like. Literally, I just love young people who want to take over the world and want to replace me and replace us, UKG, and us at the seat, at the table, so that they one day can run the world. And I love trying to prepare them for those moments because I had
Exactly.
people who did it for me. So
Exactly.
that's kind of how I get away from the stress of neurosurgery
Right.
and all the different tasks that we have to balance and the hats that we have to juggle.
I'm pretty sure, when you were a kid, I know when I was a kid, and pretty much everybody that is tuning in, when you were a youth, the phrase, you guys are the future. You're the future. You're the future. That's something that I was told time in and time out. And, you never really understand that. But at the same time, you can tell somebody that, but it's hard to show somebody how they can be the future. And that's why I give kudos to you for doing what you're doing, because you're showing, young men, young women, how I can become the future. Because somebody's telling me I can be that way, but I don't know how to do that. I'm only 13 years old. I don't know what's next. Um,
That's right. And I'll say something else to that, KG, because I'm sure you felt this too when you were younger. When someone said that and it felt like lip service, it didn't feel genuine. It sounded like it was coming just from a superficial place.
right.
You could read right through that, and so could I. I mean, we were like, oh, okay, I don't know if you really believe what you're saying, but then you have those individuals who you knew when they spoke, power came behind that, like worth came behind that, truth came behind that, and they actually wanted to put their hands on your life, on your shoulder, and say, son, what is it that you want to do? Young lady, what is it that you want to do? And how can we help you get there? And that's the kind of leader that I know you are, and that I like to be as well in my particular space. I think we all run our race and we all can, help encourage and inspire the next generation in our lanes. And I'm thankful that I'm able to do it in medicine and now through literature in this book that we wrote.
Got it. Got it. No, thank you. So I want to pivot things because we have some questions, right? I have about maybe 5 or 6 here, and so I want to get a chance to get through everybody's. So the first question is, excuse me, were there any lessons from your time within the NFL that have come in handy as a neurosurgeon?
Awesome. I think the name is Farah. That's a great question. Yes, I do think that the experiences that I had in in football in the NFL have helped me in my profession now. Communication. I was a safety, so I really had to talk about the down and distance and the personnel and if Peyton Manning was tapping his leg, was he going to throw an out route to Reggie Wayne? I'm just like trying to figure all that stuff out. And you have to communicate that to the team so everyone's on the same page. Same way you're in the operating room with nursing staff, scrub techs, medical manufacturers, anesthesiologists, your attendings, your colleagues, and all talking about what we need to do. How do we move? How do we do this? How do we do that? Matter of fact, we even do a huddle
Mm,
in our operating room before the case to talk about estimated blood loss. How long is this case going to take? What are the expected challenges? And
wow.
where this patient's going after the case? And then we say, ready, break, and then we just break like a team. So
Like,
yes, there's a lot that sort of crossover traits: discipline, focus,
yes.
teamwork, being coachable, and then one thing that I really love is working under pressure. Farrah,
Yeah.
I think working under pressure and knowing how to slow myself down, take a few heartbeats, and go back to my fundamentals. It's like fourth down on the goal line. You got to make a play. Everybody's watching. This time you're doing it with a life in your hand, so you have to be incredibly delicate and make sure that you're doing it the right way. But that same principle of sort of slowing everything down and going back to your technique and relying on your technique, that was helpful for me. So yes, certainly a lot of football has bled into my work now as a physician.
That's great. That's great. I mean, there's a lot of things that I bring over from my NFL career, from my football career, that I, bring into the tech world. Second question here. Now, this is speaking towards the youth. What would you say to teens who currently do not have parents, coaches, or other supporters in their life?
Well, I would say that you're your position right now is not where you need to be, and there can be other avenues that I would love for you to seek out in the sense of a mentor or an older individual who can pour life into you, because even though that the situation may not seem like a peer of yours, there have been people who have sacrificed for you to be where you are right now to have a chance at the success that you can have through your body, through your skill,
Right.
through your talent, right? The chance of going to school, the chance of eating at nice restaurants, the chance of attaining a good job, the chance of dating someone, whoever you want to date, and love whoever you want to love. There have been people who sacrificed a lot for you to have these rights, these freedoms, and to do these wonderful things. Take advantage of it. Regardless of where you start, you will go somewhere high. And if you apply the 2% way process, if you find a mentor, if you latch on to a group, whether it be online or in a church or somewhere, that can help guide you and help sort of cover you through this, that would be important for you. And when when you do make it, you will be the absolute best testimony for anybody else who says,
Absolutely.
"Oh, you know what? I couldn't do it." And you said, "Well, if I could do it, you definitely can." So that would be incredibly uplifting and rewarding to hear that story and to know that the growth has come from where you've come from.
I like that. Third question, as I think I have maybe three more after this. What was your favorite memory of Florida State?
Favorite memory at Florida State was winning the Rhodes Scholarship on November 22nd, 2008.
I like
I had to go down to Birmingham, Alabama, and apply and interview for the Rhodes Scholarship around 10 other Rhodes finalists. They told me I won the scholarship. I called my parents. I called mommy and daddy. That's what I called my parents. I called my teammates. They were already in Maryland playing against University of Maryland in College Park, Maryland,
Wow.
and they were excited for me. I got a private plane from Birmingham, flew up to BWI, got to the game around the second quarter, got an ice water bath, doused on me by my teammates when I entered the
Oh,
field. We trounced Maryland. We mollywopped them, beat them like 37-3, dominated our ACC foe, and then it was a great win. It was a great win for student athletes, a great win for my school, a great win for the Bahamas, my country, New Jersey, where I grew up. So it was an awesome day. That was my favorite memory for sure.
I mean, we talked earlier, when you were playing at Florida State, I was in high school. I remember seeing that on ESPN, and it was so great, man, just to see, somebody, no, for real, somebody who looked like me that was able to win that scholarship. It was the same thing when Obama became president, right? You see somebody who looks like you in a position that is extremely higher than you would ever imagine. So kudos to you again, man. Congrats on that.
Appreciate that, brother. Appreciate that. I appreciate you putting my same name in a sentence of Barack Obama. I appreciate that. That's good.
Whether or not you know it or not, Dr. Myron, man, you are that big of an influence to a lot of people that you don't know. So, you know,
Thank you. Thank you.
what is your favorite part about being a neurosurgeon?
Favorite part about being a neurosurgeon, Sarah, that has to be working with children and being able to really intervene at a point in their life when they are the most vulnerable, when they have no other option, and then you come in with an amazing team of nurses and administrative staff and other people who are just dedicated to help saving this life and to turning this life around. And then that kid comes back 6 months, a year later, and says, "Dr. Roll, your team, you guys have done such a great job. And now, I'm back in school and I'm able to play video games and I don't have any more pain and things are working out for me." That is so fulfilling and uplifting, incredibly rewarding. And so that fires me up. That's the exciting part of going into a job that you love,
Right.
and just being able to experience those wins and those successful outcomes. It's a beautiful thing.
It sure is. It sure is. Now, before you became a neurosurgeon, right? What was your experience as a Rhodes Scholar? And what was your biggest takeaway from your time at Oxford?
My experience as a Rhodes Scholar was great, man. Being someone over there with an American accent
Mhm.
and being black, a lot of the Brits thought that I knew Barack Obama. They're like, "Do you know Barack Obama?" I'm like, "No, not all black people know each other, man. I
Right,
know,
right, right,
I know that's what y'all think, but that's not how it works."
right.
but, um, but but no, it was fun. I had a great time. I did some crazy things over there. I played some rugby. I ate bangers and mash, fish and chips. I did some punting on the Thames River where you
Okay.
take this big stick and you sort of like stand up on this boat and you like put it against the bottom of the river and
Yes,
you just like,
yes.
yeah, you've seen it. I was trying to be romantic with the young lady and I was sweating at the end of the date and I'm
Right.
like, this is probably a bad move. Next time we're just gonna go to a restaurant.
Exactly.
But I
Simple.
had a great time. Yeah, I met some cool people. I traveled a lot. I got my master's degree in medical anthropology over there, and it was great to sort of separate myself from the football Myron and then just get into like the academic Myron. I can dive fully into being a complete nerd with other people who are also nerds. It was really good.
No, that's huge. I mean, being able to separate, everything that you've done in the past and then kind of revamp things in another country, right, and excel at it, it speaks volumes to you. Um,
Absolutely.
Now, from this is referring to your family. From a first gen perspective, did you ever struggle with the pressure from your family to succeed? And if so, how did that push you through?
Wow. Yes, I think I did struggle with that a bit. And I want to tell you something, Farrah. I want to tell you something too, KG. So my last name, Roll, is a slave name.
Mm,
It comes from a slave owner named Lord John Roll, who was from Great Britain. Britain enslaved and colonized the Bahamas. And in 1838, when slavery was abolished, all the slaves on the plantation took his last name. So everyone was named Roll. So you'll find in Exuma right now, Roll Town, Rollville, Roll Hair Salon, Roll Convenience Store. You can throw a rock and you'll find a Roll. So knowing that surname came from that pain, that anguish, that enslavement, that bondage, that torture, that horror, and now me, my brothers, and other members of my family have the chance to flip that name and turn it
right.
into something great to be remembered for success and positivity. That's huge for me. And so, yeah, it was pressure thinking about that story and that history, but it also is a little bit of solace to know that we have a chance in America and around the world to do some great things and have Roll be remembered for something good as opposed to slavery.
Wow. Changing the narrative, man. You just continue to do so. Um, what daily habits have been the most positively transformative for you?
I talk to myself a lot, Sahil. This may sound crazy, but and I don't know if you do it, Sahil. I don't know if you do it, KG, but I speak to myself a lot. And people look at me like, "What is he doing?" I affirm things over and over to myself, like, "Hey, I can do this. I can get this done. If he could did it and she did it, why can't I do it?" Or
Yep.
if I'm doing a case, I think about the case and I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm going to position the head this way, and then I'm going to flip the body this way, and I'm going to put a pad under here, and I'm going to use the light fixture is going to be here," and I'm talking this out in real time in a restaurant, in a coffee shop, and people are like, "What are you doing?" I love doing that because it just sort of like keeps me in my space. It keeps me,
Right.
focused and locked in. And I love sort of talking up to myself, like bigging up we call it in the Bahamas
Yeah.
bigging up. So I like bigging up myself and
Right.
really, speaking life and saying, I can do this, there's no reason why I cannot. Other people before me have done it. They're no better than me. I'm not any worse than them. I can do it too. And so that's been huge for me. And that's a part of that 2% way process. I always apply this 2% way process that I write about in the book to life's challenges and life struggles or even goal setting. And a part of it for me is definitely talking to myself. I do that all the time.
That's huge. That's huge. I mean, hey, some people call it crazy. We like to call it a beautiful mind.
That's
Um,
right. That's right. That's right.
Now, this is the last question from the group before I have my wrap up question for you. Um, my wife is a current Black neurology medical resident. Could you share how you, as a Black doctor, found ways to give back to your community while furthering your professional career?
It's great, and kudos to your wife. That's awesome. We need more women of color in neurosciences, neurology in particular. Um, I try to find because I love neuroscience so much, and your wife probably does as well. How do we find ways to unlock that in the minds of young people who once thought that neurology or neuroscience wasn't for them? And so this is how I connect. And so we have this place in Boston called Mattapan. We have another place called Roxbury, where New Edition and Bobby Brown, those guys are from. These are some of the more underserved areas in the community. I go into these communities and I talk about the things that they love to do, which is
Mm,
maybe music, fashion, sports, and I talk and even social media. I said, "You use social media. What are you doing when you're using social media?" "Oh, I'm scrolling, Dr. Roll, and I'm looking at pictures." Well, when you're looking at those pictures, you're using your eyes, which is your visual cortex. You're using your brain to process what you're seeing, the sights, the sounds of what you're seeing. You're using your motor skills to tap on and like something multiple times. Or if it's music, you're using your amygdala and your hippocampus, your mesial temporal lobe to remember the lyrics. Then you're using your inferior frontal lobe to produce the speech so that you can actually sing. Then you're using
Wow.
your hypoglossal nerve to move your tongue around so that you can get the words out and the notes sound better. So you're using your brain in everything you're doing. So this
Wow.
is a way that I've tried to connect with people, to expose them, especially young people
Yeah.
who are from underserved areas, that you use your brain and neuroscience, neurology all the time, and it's in
Yeah.
your daily life. You just don't know. And so I talk about that quite frequently, and it's a way to combine a passion of mine, which I'm sure KG you can tell through this interview, like how much I love it, and
Cool.
also combined trying to give back to the community, especially a community that may not see a neurosurgeon or may not see a Black female neurologist.
Man, I got to hand to you, man. I just turned 32 last week, and you just made me feel like a 16-year-old whenever I'm looking at my Instagram and stuff. Like, I'm gonna start thinking about that. Like, okay, I'm using this. This is why I'm doing this. This is for this reason. Try to
No
get
doubt,
professional.
no doubt.
I don't want to just drop.
No doubt.
Now, I just have just two closing questions for you. So, with all the success that you've been having, right? You wrote your first book. What is next for you? What's on the horizon?
Next for me is finishing up residency at Mass General. I have a year and a half left. Then I'm
Okay.
going to do pediatric fellowship, likely at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, CHOP. It's a Penn program. Then I'll go on and practice as an attending pediatric neurosurgeon. I also want to continue to expand my foundation. I have this one foundation called the Caribbean Neurosurgery Foundation, where
All
we
right.
upscale neurosurgical care in the Caribbean for the most vulnerable populations. My aunt passed away from a traumatic brain injury in 2010 after being hit by a car, not seeing a nurse or a neurosurgeon on our small island of Exuma for 7 hours, not seen for 7 hours. And so it was a preventable death that I'm trying to fix or help solve in my home country and around the Caribbean for multiple individuals. 3.5 million residents in the Caribbean live outside of the 4-hour window to be seen for urgent or emergent neurosurgical care. So I love to continue to expand that foundation through policy, through clinical advancement, and through education. So that's exciting. And then the most important job and most important role is being a father, leading my home, being a husband to my beautiful wife, and just trying to help them come to this world and have the success that they want to have.
That's big time. That's big time. Now, my last question for you, right? This is kind of a different than what we've been asking the whole way through because I don't know when the next time I'm going to get a chance to speak with a neurosurgeon. Now, a lot of us here have seen the movie Limitless, right? And the movie Limitless, you take a pill and you are able to unlock the other half of your brain and do a lot of things that would normally take years and years to try and learn. You're able to do it like that. With all of us here working at the biggest tech company in the world, and with you being at the forefront of neurology, do you think something like that is just fantasy, or do you think something like that could actually come about?
I would not put it past the PhDs, the researchers, and other neurologists and neurosurgeons to come up with ways to access the brain and its power, in a way that unlocks the potential that we didn't expect to have. I'm not sure if it can get us to, doing superhuman sorts of things, but I do believe that the brain has got some phenomenal pathways that we don't fully understand. And if we're able to continue to study it and know it, I think we can unlock some neuromodulations that, an amputee that comes from war can now move their hands because they think about moving their
Right.
hands as they have a prosthetic limb on, or, think about memories that we've had when we were a child by really tapping into that mesial temporal lobe and finding the neurons in the cell bodies that hold those and store those memories, because they're there, but we just can't really think or activate them
Right.
like we can activate what we ate for breakfast yesterday. So I think there's a lot of potential. And that's why neurosurgery and neuroscience and the brain is so fun and so exciting. And even your company and Google is so exciting because you can cross over with technology and neuroscience and then just expand what we know and what we can do
Right.
to help save lives or make lives more comfortable for some
Right.
people. So it's exciting. The future is great. The future is big.
I'll tell you what, Dr. Roll, if there's a way for me to hurry up and learn the piano just after one try, please let me know.
That sounds good. All right, all right. I'll
Uh,
make sure I lock you in, so you're the
yeah,
first one for that
thank
that
you.
uh, that that, that control trial. Yeah, I got you.
Well, Dr. Roll, we definitely appreciate your time this afternoon. Thank you so much just for sharing your journey, where you're at now and what is next on the horizon for you. We are very much looking forward to buying your book and reading a little bit more. Is there anything about the book or anything that you'd like to speak on before we wrap up?
Well, it came out yesterday, so it's available in every place where you get books, Barnes and Nobles, Books a Million, anywhere you get books. You can get it online, anywhere you get books online. You can go to our website, www.2percentway.com. That's TWO%way.com. And then on my social media, it's all over there as well. Myron Roll, just on Twitter, Instagram, I'm all over there, and I have the book available for you. So we're excited about it, and hopefully, people get as excited about it as well. So we're fun.
That is perfect. Now, can I get the book on digital or physical as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you can get hard copies, you can get Audible, you can have it, read to you and spoken to you as you take your drive to work. So it's available in all formats.
Perfect. Dr. Myron Roll, the 2% Way. We thank you so much for your time here this afternoon.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.